Hello friends, welcome! This is my very first step-by-step stitch tutorial. This is my very first step-by-step stitch tutorial for one of my DIY embroidery stickers. So many words. This one is for my baby bouquet embroidery sticker. It is my bestseller and I did a poll on Instagram and this was the most voted requested one to have a full in-depth stitch tutorial. In my description at the very top there will be a clickable link that will take you straight to the sticker if you would like to purchase it. And don't forget that if you spend over $20 on my website and use code YouTube at checkout, you get a free DIY embroidery sticker of your choice. All of my DIY stickers do include my beginner embroidery handbook, which is basically my embroidery Bible. Everything I could teach a beginner I put in this handbook to help everyone get started. It's $7 to purchase on its own as a digital download, or it just comes for free with every sticker. It's filled with so much helpful information, different video tutorials for different beginner stitches, links to products that I use and recommend, tips and tricks for stitching on clothes, all that good stuff. All right, time to get to stitching.
So first we're going to peel the sticker. Whoa. Put it on like this. And we want to apply pressure, but if we press down too hard on the fabric, it's going to probably loosen in the hoop. So a really easy way to do this is you can just flip the hoop and fabric, flip your fabric face down like this. And then we can put pressure on the back side, and that way our fabric will stay tight in our hoop and our sticker will be extra sticky. Beautiful. Look at that. So I am going to go ahead and put my hoop in the hoop stand. And the reason I put what looks like the design on upside down is because the hoop is going to hold on to this top part. It will hold on better to this side than this side because of the hardware. I always want to say the hard wire. You know, the hard wire. So we are going to start with 3802. It's going to stay. Yay. I'm going to do 3 strands of thread for this one. This is a good size. So if you follow me, you know that I recommend that everyone measures their thread by fully extending their arm and measuring the thread from their hand to their shoulder. So that's what this length is. And I'm going to separate this one strand at a time by pinching the end of the thread. And then you can just grab one piece like this and then lightly pinch these pieces and then pull it out like that. Nope. It's a little small, but it's okay. It'll be good enough. Okay, so I'm gonna add a knot at the end of my thread, and you could literally just tie a single knot at the very end, but I like doing quilter's knots because then I just feel like I have a little more control over the thread. Hold my needle like this. I'm gonna grab the very end of my thread, and so wherever you put the thread is where the knot's gonna be. So the knot would be like right here. So I'm gonna make it like right here. And then, so it would look like this. I'm just like lightly pinching with I'm using my left thumb, my left hand. So then with my opposite hand, I'm gonna wrap the thread around the needle twice because I want a double knot. And then with my left hand, I'm gonna lightly pinch the thread I wrapped around. And then I'm gonna pull my needle through. And then we have it. It doesn't have to be, like, you can literally just do a single knot, it doesn't matter. All right, let us begin. So I'm gonna start with a back stitch on this left flower here. I have a step-by-step tutorial for that on here, but all you do is we'll just start, I like to start at the top and work my way down. Just like in drawing, people say, you know, if you're trying to draw a straight line, you don't typically draw from bottom to up, you do like top to bottom, and I just feel like, I don't know, that's just what I do with embroidery too. So pull your needle through the back of the fabric and then you'll skip a stitch length, but I really just tell people to eyeball it, whatever you think works best. I'm gonna do it right in between these two little flower petals down here. That like sounds right to me. Some people will do a little, they'll like mark their thumb. So they would Sharpie, like the top of the thread is here. So they would do like a little Sharpie tick on their nail there. And then where I'm inserting my needle here, they would add another tick there so that way they could measure it as they go down. So you can definitely do that. But I don't know. None of my stitches are perfect. And I think a lot of people get caught up on having perfect stitches, but I don't know. I think it's those little things that make it so beautiful. And when you look at nature, no two flower petals are the same shape or the exact same color or this or that. Like, it's all different and beautiful. So, but my goal is I'm just trying to go in between the two, like, petals or whatever. Next stitch. You do put this back in the same hole down here, but like I said, I do have a step-by-step tutorial for this, so for the back stitch. And every stitch I do here, I have like an in-depth step-by-step tutorial for. The only downside of having my hoop down here or any other place is sometimes your thread will get caught. Also, if you hear snoring, it's Moose. Peppy was so traumatized from falling off his like little cat tree earlier, he just went and hid in the closet. Okay, so I want to stitch this like right above this little bow because then when I come back in later, I don't want to have to stitch on top of it, which I totally can. That's fine, but I don't want to. You'll see what I mean once we get there. It's funny, you can see that one strand of thread that I separated earlier wants to like not be a part of the group anymore. But this is also why thread magic or thread balm is really helpful because it keeps your stitches like secure together, which I should put some on. I had some on, but maybe I need to layer up again. Okay. Now I'm gonna start back at the very top up here. So I could just tie my thread off in the back down here, or I could just carry my thread all the way over and start at the very top. But then that means I'm gonna have thread in the back of my hoop going from like down here to like up here where I start. And that's okay, but sometimes when there's like a lot of thread everywhere, it can make it more difficult to stitch because then we're just like having to pull our needle through more thread in the back. And then sometimes the thread can come up through the front of the hoop, or like it's just a little more difficult because you're having to push your needle through more than just fabric. It's not a bad thing, but it can be helpful to have a cleaner back, but it's not a big deal if you don't. So I'm going to show you what I want to do in this situation. And this is especially good if you're stitching on clothing. Because if I was stitching on a shirt, I absolutely would not go from here to here because that means there'll be thread this long for something to like snag on while I'm wearing. I'm gonna work my needle and thread in and out of these previous stitches. Or weave them in and out, is that the right word? And that way there's not a whole lot of extra thread just like hanging around. And then that's one less knot we have to make. All right, and now we're good to start again. So I'm gonna pull my needle through at the very top, following the leaf pattern here. With my left hand, I'm gonna kind of make this little loop, or like hold this piece over here, whatever you want to call that. It will be a loop in a second. And then with my needle, I'm not putting it back in the same hole we just pulled our needle through, but just right down here. So at the very bottom part of the leaf is where I'm putting my needle back in. To get to about right here, I'm gonna pull my needle through at the very top of the leaf, top center, as close as we can get. I'm gonna pull my needle through, do just like that. So if you've made a lazy daisy before, you're like, oh, it's literally just like one of the petals from that. At the very top of the loop we just made, I'm gonna pull my needle through the back to hold it in place there. So I'm gonna go down to the next one. So pull my needle through at the very top of the petal. Gonna hold thread up here. Insert my needle at the bottom of the petal. Pull it through till we get about right here with our little loop. Then at the very top of the flower petal, we're gonna pull our needle through the center of the loop. We're like right here, and then right above our thread, the little loop, we're gonna insert our needle and pull it through to hold the loop in place. And then we're just gonna keep repeating those same steps until they're filled in. I think I'm gonna be cutting it too close to try to, I don't know, let's try it. We'll see what happens. Maybe I have enough to do these two. Let's see. I don't know. Let's see if we can do it. Oh my gosh. Just enough. Dun, da, da, da. Looks nice. Okay. So now to tie off in the back. So this is why sometimes it can not be good to use the thread till it's at like the very end, because then it can make tying off in the back a little difficult. So I'm gonna go under previous stitch. Okay. Now with my left hand, I'm gonna hold this thread here. My other hand, I'm gonna go under a previous stitch in the back with the needle. And then I'm gonna put the needle through this loop here. I'll do a better one of tying off. It's just like a knot. I'm gonna do it one more time. It's just a little hard to show y'all here because I decided to use the rest of the thread. But sometimes, so like this is so long that it's kind of hard to put the front of the needle back in. I can put the eye of the needle through the loop. There we go. Okay. So for the leaves, I'm going to use 2 strands of the 3802. So I'm going to separate one. And then I'm going to use 1 strand from the 543. This is also why like thread gloss and thread magic can be good, because it keeps your strands more together, which makes them easier to work with. So if you're using different colors, it can help keep those strands together. So 3 strands total, 2 of the burgundy red color, and then 1 of the tan color, the 543. So let's stitch the leaves. So I'm gonna go ahead and stitch the little bottom part here with just like 1 single stitch. Do just 1 single stitch at the bottom. So I'm going to start at the very top of this leaf and pull my needle through. And I'm going to go straight down and put my needle at the very top, the same exact hole as this top stitch here. Now I'm going to pull my needle through the back of the fabric next to the stitch we made, but a little slightly below it. I'm just following the outline of our leaf. Every once in a while, sometimes you might need to like retighten your fabric in the hoop just so you know while you're stitching. But yeah, that's not uncommon. So I'm pull my needle through the back. And then I'm gonna put it slightly above the bottom of the previous stitch we made. So I'm doing like 1 straight stitch next to it, but it's just gonna be a little shorter. And then I'm going to do the same thing to the opposite side. And then I'm going to make 1 more small one, just following the line. So right here on this side. And this I am going to put in the same hole as the bottom of the first stitch that we made. And that's going to kind of give it a little bit of a curve and make it look like I don't know, just so we have a little more shape in the leaf. And I'm going to do that to the opposite side as well. All right, and so then I'm going to repeat those same steps to this next one up here. So one in the center. Now this leaf has a little more on the left than the right, so what I'm going to do is for the right side, I'm going to make another stitch, pull my needle through a little below the top of the previous stitch, and then I'm going to go ahead and insert my needle back into the bottom of this previous stitch that we just made. And that's all I'm going to do for that side. A little bit of a knot here. So I'm going to do my needle through the top of this. This one I'm just going to do straight down, a little above the previous stitch at the bottom. So we're going to add a couple more stitches into this side. So I'm going to do the same thing. Actually, I'm going to put this in the bottom of the previous stitch. And then I'm going to do that one more time. And I'm actually going to put this at the very bottom of the center stitch. So lots of times people get caught up in the amount of stitches to use for like leaves or flower petals, and truly it doesn't matter. So for this one, what did I do? 3, 4, 5, 6, and then I think I did 6 over here too. I just tell people to use as many stitches as it takes to fill in the area. So don't get caught up in the amount of stitches, just like fill it in. It reminds me of coloring, so we're just filling in a shape, and sometimes we use more brush or like marker strokes or whatever. Sometimes we use less. The goal is just to fill in the area with the thread, so don't get caught up in the amount of stitches. Just follow the outline and until it's filled in. Okay, so that we're done with the leaves. So we're gonna tie off. So I'm gonna put the thread and needle under a stitch. And then just gonna add 2 knots. Okay. All right, so now I'm gonna get 3 strands of our 543 color, and now I am gonna make a single stitch in each of these little petal holes, just in the center. So where there's that opening, I'm just gonna pull my needle through. If I can stay still, oh my goodness. Shaking things around. Pull it through. Yeah, I think that looks nice. I'm gonna do that for each of these. I'm just going up to the very top stitch. Sun's coming out a little bit, so that's nice. That looks really pretty. Okay, I really like that. Well, whatever. That's so pretty. So I'm gonna do these two flowers, 160, and then the center one, I'm gonna do this 3773 color. Doesn't really matter which flower petal you start at. I'm gonna just start at this one, and I kind of do this the same way I stitch my leaves. So I'm gonna pull my needle through at the very top center of the flower petal. Then I'm gonna make one single straight stitch down the middle. Doesn't need to be perfect. Sometimes I'll hold it like this, and that way I can eye it a little better. And just like the leaves, I'm going to pull my needle through the back of the fabric at the top, just following the outline of the flower petal. This one, I'm not going to put it in the same spot, I'm just going to put it right next to it, following the outline. And do the same thing on the opposite side. Remember, we're just filling in the shape with our thread. So now on this side, I'm going to go ahead and start giving my petal some dimension. So I'm going to pull my needle through at the top of the flower petal, just following the outline. And then this time, I'm actually going to insert my needle into the bottom of the previous stitch, so in that the same exact hole. Just a little bit of an angle there. And I think I'm going to do one more. And I'm just continuing to follow the outline. And repeat that on the other side. So I basically do straight stitches until I feel like I'm kind of running out of room, and then I'll insert the bottom of the stitch into the previous hole. Glad it's getting like a little sunny out. That's nice. So this one needs to go back in the same one, I feel like. And then I kind of want to do one more. Even though that one's fine, I'm feeling one more, so I'm going to do one more. Perfect. And now I'm just going to keep working my way around each petal, starting at the center and then working my way out. See, that one I messed up. I didn't even get it all the way in the center, but it's okay. Nothing has to be perfect. Nothing is perfect. Except when we go outside and look at nature. Every flower petal has its differences. Some are maybe a little lopsided, maybe. They're different sizes, different shapes, different colors. It's all beautiful. It's not clip art, okay. All right, I think that flower looks pretty good. As you can see, I don't always fill the flower petals in the exact same way either. So I just like do what I feel like, and there's no right or wrong way to fill a flower petal in. I think sometimes it can be really easy to get caught up in the methods and the like how many strands we're using, how many stitches we're using, but really, like I said, it's just my brain is like, this is a coloring book. We're just picking out different colors and filling in different shapes, different colors. Satin stitch is like a really long, simple marker stroke. French knots are like little, if you were to like dot your coloring page, add little dark dots, little sparkles, darkles. Back stitch is like if you were filling something in with more texture and you're just going like and filling it in like that. I don't know. Just reminds me a lot of coloring. know if we're gonna have enough. Let's see. Kind of feeling like I should have added one more stitch down here. All right, good news. I think I got a better angle for filming my tutorials. I'm just sorry the whole video doesn't look like this. So I'm gonna stitch this last flower petal. And then in a second here, when the next clip happens, when we're done with this flower petal, it'll hopefully be so much brighter because it'll be tomorrow and today was a cloudy day. I didn't want to wait any longer to stitch this, so I didn't. So now I'm gonna move on to color 3773 with 3 strands of thread. I've used 3 strands for the whole project, and I think we will continue to do so. All done. Right, so I'm gonna tie this off, and then hopefully the next clip you see looks very bright and sunny and beautiful because it has been not very sunny out this week. Today's very cloudy, but tomorrow is supposed to be full of sunshine. I do think this lighting already looks better than yesterday. I feel like this angle looks a lot better than it did yesterday, so can't get a perfect angle every day. So now we're going to do the center of the flower petals. So for the center, we'll do French knots, and we're going to use the color 543 using 3 strands of thread. We'll do a double French knot, and I'll walk you guys through it. So I'm going to hold my needle at an angle like this, and then I'm going to grab the thread and wrap it around twice. Since it's a double French knot, it would just be once for a single. So now I'm going to insert my needle back into the fabric, not in the same hole, but close to it. If you put it back in the same hole, it's possible that the knot will completely pull through the fabric. So I'm going to insert my needle back into the fabric, and while I'm still holding on to the thread with my left hand, I'm going to make sure this knot is up against the fabric like this. And you want it to be up against the fabric, or else it's more likely it'll knot up. So I'm going to keep like holding on to this over here with my left hand. And then once the knot is up against the fabric like this, I'm going to pull my needle through while still holding on to the thread with my left hand. And once you get about right here, you can let go of the thread. There you go. There's a French knot. And I do have a tutorial for the French knot on my page if you want to go and practice, but I'm just kind of quickly walking through the stitches on here since I do have tutorials for them on my YouTube. So we'll do that one more time, and then I'm just gonna fill the rest of them in. Pull the needle through the back of the fabric. Maybe can I zoom in just a little bit? Wrap the thread around the needle twice. Insert it back into the fabric, not in the same hole but next to it. Make sure the thread around the needle is up against the fabric. Keep holding on with your left hand while you pull the needle through the back of the fabric. Once you get to about right here, you can release the thread, and there you go. And sometimes they still knot up from time to time, but like your thread, but just try your best. It's okay. It happens. I'm wondering if I should add one in the center. Maybe I'll just add a single one in the center. So I did 4 doubles on the outside and then 1 single in the middle. It doesn't really matter how many you do, like you just want to fill in the area with that stitch. So I'm going to do a double French knot here. Hoop stands are very helpful for French knots, I will say. Before I had a hoop stand, I would just do French knots at our dining room table. I would just lay the hoop down flat on the table and stitch them like that. I would do them on my lap if I was sitting on the couch and I stabbed my leg a couple of times, so I would not recommend. So I'm gonna do another single one. So for the pink flower, I did 2 double French knots and 1 single French knot. I'm gonna do a little Instagram. For a double French knot, pull your needle through the back of the fabric. With your hand that you hold the needle with, hold it from left to right. With your opposite hand, grab the thread that you just pulled through the back of the fabric. We're going to wrap it around our needle twice because this is a double French knot. Now we're going to insert a needle back into the fabric, not in the same hole we just pulled it through, but we'll create a new one right next to it. With your opposite hand that's holding the thread, we're going to slide the thread we wrapped around the needle up against the fabric like this. This is very important. You want the thread that's around the needle to be up against the fabric. Now, and we don't want to hold this too tight either, because if we're holding this super tight, it's going to be really hard to pull the needle through the fabric. So just hold it in place, but just like loosely. So then we're going to pull our needle through the back of the fabric while still holding onto the thread with our other hand. Go nice and slow, because sometimes you can see all the threads kind of bunching up right here. But we'll just go nice and slow. If we go too fast, that could create a knot. And so then once we get to about right here, we can release the thread with our opposite hand. And there we go. So we talk through it one more time together. And so now I think I'm going to add 2 single French knots around this one. So we'll do one here. And one here. Beautiful. I want to add some teeny tiny highlights to our flower petals. So I'm going to use the same thread I was using, the same color, but I am just going to use 1 single strand of thread because 1 strand is really great for highlighting because it's not too overpowering or anything. There's not really much of a method to how I highlight the flower petals. I really just add as many stitches as I think will look good. So I think probably between 1 and 4 for each flower petal. But how I do this is I'll always start towards the outside of the flower petal. And then I'll just put it near / under a French knot. And there's a lot of thread in the back of the fabric near this area. So sometimes it could be harder to pull the needle through. So just poke it around until you find a spot that's easy to pull through. So that one, it's like you can't super see it, but the more you add, you'll see what I'm talking about. So I think I'm going to add another one over here. I feel like that one just did not show up like I wanted it to. If it doesn't show up, just add another one. It's kind of hiding over there, but that's okay. All right, so I added 4, but it's not like a major difference that you can see. Once we do it to each flower petal, it'll add like a nice little complement there. So I'm just gonna keep going around, adding highlights until I feel like it looks good. I don't think it's possible to make this look bad, truly. And sometimes I might go all the way down to the bottom, and sometimes I might stop it a little early. Did I miss these 2 flower petals? I think I did. I don't see anything in them. Whoops. right, she's looking good. We're gonna use this green, which I like a billion times better. Oh my gosh, this one looks way better. It's 370, 3 strands of thread. Now we're gonna do a back stitch with our new color. Oh my god, that looks so much better. So now for this, I'm just going to do a back stitch like we've been doing. And for the little ones here, so the little dots, we're going to do French knots. I'm going to do a mixture of the orange, which is the 420, and then the tan, which is the 543 for those. But for the actual vines, I'm going to just do this color. So there's no right or wrong way to do this, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the leaf portion like on the top, and then I'll do the rest of the vine. And I'm going to do like this first, but when I make the stitch to this part of the vine, because I want them to connect, I want to be able to put the bottom of this stitch under here so there's not like open space. So I go ahead and make that stitch, and then I would make this one over here. And then I'm going to put this under. And then I'm going to keep going with this. And that way when I make this vine, I don't have to worry about matching it to go under this stitch, which like it's not that hard to do, but for me that just makes more sense. And I could do this full thing and then come back and do that, but then I'm carrying my thread. So I'd rather just do it like this. And these I'm actually just going to put in the same hole here. then for the leaves, I'm going to do what I did with this one. So we're going to use 2 strands of the 420 and then 1 strand of the 543. Okay, so now for the little dots, we're going to do French knots. We're going to do 2 strands of 543 and then 1 strand of the 420. I just feel like I can't even say 420. My brain's like 420, 420. We'll just do double for these. Beautiful. Okay, I think that's all of them. All right, 3773 for the bow. We're just gonna do the back stitch. I kind of just want to make one long stitch from like here to like here. Because honestly, that's how all my bows end up looking anyways. Oh, I think it's cute. I like the wonky bow. Oh my god, she's done. She's so cute. This is so pretty. Oh my gosh. I love it. Chef's kiss, if you ask me. Now that we're done stitching, we want to rinse our sticker off. So you can rinse the sticker off with the running water from your sink, and that will be a bit faster because there's water pressure coming out of your spigot. If you're trying to save water, you can also just rinse it off in a bowl of water, which is what we're going to do here. The one thing you want to keep in mind is that you just want the water to be lukewarm. If the water's really hot, it could cause the dye in your thread to release and stain your fabric. I also tell people too, you never know, if you're stitching on clothing, if your clothing article gets too hot, it could cause dye in there to release. So it's just better to use lukewarm water always. Even just like washing your clothes that don't have embroidery or anything, lukewarm water. It's just always safest that way. All right, so now we're just gonna lay our fabric in the water and our sticker will dissolve. You can just let it soak in there, or you can rub at it if you want, but I'm just gonna let it soak. right. I'm gonna pull the fabric out. And then I am going to grab part of the towel, lay it down, flatten it, just to get some of the big water droplets out, or whatever you want to say. This is the only downside of the stick and stitches. It's like you have to wait for it to dry after, but it's still worth it to me. Alright, so now we just have to wait for it to dry. And for drying, I get one of these hangers and I'll just clip the top like this and then hang it up.
Thank you all so much for watching. If this was helpful, please like this video and please subscribe to my channel. Please, please, please. It helps me so much. Seriously. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section below. I read all of them. I definitely want to make a couple more tutorials like this of my stick and stitches. So if you want to check out my website and look at all my stickers and let me know in the comments which one you would like to see next, I would really appreciate that. All right. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.